Men. When we hear that word, the emotional charge that carries behind it, the disappointment, the grief, the rage, the pain. I have been hurt by men, and I too am a man. I have also hurt others, and that parallel is something I've having to deal with. But it is not a burden that I have to carry, and it is something I'm learning recently to deal with. Growing up, my role figures were predominantly women, well, mostly women. My grandmother, my mother, and my aunts, largely throughout my adult life, had been shaped by the lack of support, lack of care, help from said partnerships with men, responsibilities not being taken care of. Every time my mother said, "Your father," with that it carried a tally, it added to the tally of the mountain of disappointments that I had, and also the mountain of expectations that I was given from an early age. As I got older and started being cute and cuddly and started to resemble and take on changes that the disappointers took, I realized that less warmth and more expectations of who I should be was starting to be placed on me. Bell Hooks, from her book The Will to Change, talks about how children and women are given an unconditional love. But only male boys, when they start to exit childhood, start to experience what she calls emotional mutilation, an emotional mutilation. Unbeknownst to myself, I found myself trying harder and harder to find back that love and appreciation that I once had given so unconsciously. But something that I learned recently, while looking back, is that for the most part, trying to shape yourself to be good is okay. But at the cost of yourself, it is too much of a price to bear. Eventually, the mountain of disappointment coincided with the mountain of expectations eventually killed me in its parallelism, and it sunk me into depression. So, coming out of it now, I watched a video recently that brought me back to the consensus of my thought process, having gone out of the depression and smoking weed that I used to cope with it. And essentially, the guy in the video talked about being present without needing weed to get me through the day, to basically trading staying inside my room instead of going out, working out, or just getting out of my comfort zone and basically, yeah. Essentially, the whole consensus that at my core I was physically and spiritually someone who kept a lot to himself, and having the need to go and talk to people and sticking out, talking to other people, and despite the discomforts doing so, even in the smallest ways, even in the smallest steps, taking the smallest steps was a big part for me. A big turning point for me was talking to women during the Trump versus Hillary Clinton presidential election, and they had to disillusion me from the propaganda being spread, and which typically happens. I want to clarify something. This speech is no way saying that masculinity is under attack, which is a rhetoric that has been spoken about over and over again throughout time. Think groups that do not believe in the complex expressions of people and which exists in many. And the fact is such that the result of many today, including me, is because of strategies to pull men away from the family system, the basis of which is the reason why many are not emotionally equipped to deal with each other. They have gotten so used to not having to deal with the other, or one being more emotionally present than the other, that it has led to people not being able to learn how to emotionally connect anymore. Reasons. Hope for a lot of men out there undergoing the process of trying, thinking of change and whatnot. You do not give up hope, because at the end of the day, hope is the foundation of change. Thank you.